Today, we are going to build a simple yet powerful sentiment analysis app using TextBlob for natural language processing and Gradio to turn our Python code into a sleek, interactive web app you can run right in your browser. Here is what we'll cover in this tutorial: what Gradio is and why it's awesome for turning Python functions into web apps, what TextBlob is and how to use it for sentiment analysis, how to install the libraries we need, how to write a simple Python function to analyze sentiment, how to build a Gradio interface for that function, how to launch and test our app locally. And as always, I will explain every single line of code like we are working on it together. No assumptions, no rushing. I'll be using VS Code, but feel free to use any IDE you love: PyCharm, Jupyter Notebook, or even Repit. The code stays the same. Alright, let's dive in. First things first, let's install the packages we need. Open your terminal or command prompt and type this. This installs Gradio, the library we will use to create the web interface, while this installs TextBlob, the library for analyzing text sentiments. Alright, let's get our hands dirty with some code. Go ahead and open up your favorite IDE and create a brand new Python file. Call it sentiment_app.py. At the very top of your file, let's start by bringing in the tools we will need for this little project. Type in the following. Here, we are basically saying, hey Python, go grab the TextBlob class from the TextBlob library, because we are going to need it to do our sentiment analysis magic. Think of TextBlob as a helpful friend who can quickly tell if a sentence sounds happy, sad, or neutral. While they import Gradio as GRO, we bring in the Gradio library. But instead of typing Gradio every time we need it, we're giving it a cute little nickname, GRO, because typing less is always a win. Okay, now that we've got our libraries imported, it's time to build the little brain of our app. This is where the actual sentiment analysis happens. Right below your imports, type this out. Here, we are creating a function called analyze_sentiment. It's like saying to Python, hey Python, whenever someone gives you some text, run this function and tell us how it feels. The word text inside those parentheses is a parameter. It's like a placeholder for whatever message the user will type in later. This is where the magic starts. We're creating something called a TextBlob object. Basically, we're wrapping up the user's message inside the TextBlob package. Think of TextBlob as a super fast little mood detector. You hand it a sentence and it instantly figures out whether it sounds happy, sad, or neutral. So blob here is just our nickname for that wrapped up text. Okay, now from our blob, we are asking, hey, what's the sentiment score of this message? The .sentiment.polarity part gives us a number between -1.0 and 1.0. A positive number like 0.6, 0.9, etc. means text sounds positive. A negative number means it feels negative. A 0 means it's neither happy nor sad, just neutral. Now this part is our little decision maker. If the sentiment score is greater than 0, it means the text is positive, so we return positive. If it's less than 0, that's negative, so we return negative. If it's exactly 0, that means neutral. We return neutral. And yes, I threw in a little emoji to keep it fun and easy to read when the result pops up. You can totally customize those if you want. And there you have it. Our sentiment analysis function is ready to go. In just a few lines of code, we built a tool that can read text and tell us how it feels. How cool is that? Let's keep this momentum going. Next up, we'll hook this up to a nice, clean interface using Gradio. Stay with me. Okay, our sentiment analysis function is ready and waiting. Now let's wrap it up in a simple little web app so people, or just you for now, can type in text and get instant feedback. And this is where Gradio shines. Right below your function, type this out. Here we are creating a Gradio interface object. Basically a simple, ready-to-use UI that can run a function and show the results in a browser. We are storing that interface inside a variable called iFace. You can name this anything you want, but iFace is short for interface and is kind of the Gradio unofficial tradition. This line tells Gradio, hey, when someone uses this app, run the analyze_sentiment function we wrote earlier. So whatever the user types in, Gradio will pass that text into our function and display whatever it returns. Here we're defining what the user will interact with. In this case, a text box. Lines equals 4 makes the text box 4 lines tall. You could make this bigger or smaller if you like. A placeholder is that friendly little hint text that shows up inside the text box before you start typing. You've seen this in forms everywhere. You could replace the placeholder with something cheeky like, "Tell me how you feel about the pizza," if you're in the mood. This tells Gradio, hey, when you get a result back from the function, display it as plain text. Later, you could wrap this out for a label, an image, or something fancier if you wanted. But for now, plain text is perfect. Then yeah, this is the title of our web app. It will show up nice and bold at the top of the Gradio interface in the browser. Feel free to name this whatever you like. Maybe Mood Detector 3000 if you are feeling creative. The description is a little one-liner that appears right below the title. It's good practice to add a short description so people instantly know what your app does without guessing. And that's it. The interface is wired up. We now have a function that analyzes text, a text box for users to type into, a text output area for results, and a clean title and description in just a few lines of code. Next up, we just need to launch this and test it out. Alright, everything is in place. We've built our sentiment analysis function, set up a clean Gradio interface, and now it's time for the best part, running our app and seeing it in action. Right below your Gradio interface code, type the following. This single line is doing a couple of cool things behind the scenes. Gradio spins up a tiny server so you can interact with it through a web browser. It opens up your default web browser in a new tab, showing you your app. No need to set up hosting, no need to install extra servers like Flask or Django. Gradio handles all of that for you. Your app is now fully functional. Type in a message into the text box, hit submit, and watch your app analyze the text sentiment in real time. By default, this runs on something like this. That's just your computer's address, meaning it's running locally. If you're working in an online coding platform like Google Colab, Gradio even gives you a public shareable link so you can test it on your phone or send it to a friend. You can stop the app by hitting Ctrl+C in your terminal or closing the Python process. And just like that, we've built our first AI-powered web app. No hosting headaches, no frameworks to wrestle with. Clean, fast, and beginner-friendly. Congrats! You now officially have a working sentiment analyzer. Text in, mood out. Simple and clean. And there you have it. The very first sentiment analysis app built with TextBlob and Gradio. You can now build all kinds of text-based apps like spam detectors, chatbots reply analyzers, or even customer feedback dashboards with this exact same process. I recommend playing around with different texts in your app and see how it behaves. If you found this helpful, smash that like button, drop a comment telling us what app you want to build next. And don't forget to subscribe for more Python projects and tutorials just like this. See you in the next one.